guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing really well. I'm really sorry I've been super poor on the video uploads. My most recent video uploads have been speed paintings because I've been working on my collection, as you can see in the background, although this painting is a commission for a client, which is the most recent speed painting on my channel. So if you're interested in art, that might be something that you're interested in, so I will leave the link below. This video today is going to be a DIY of a next dress. So as you can tell, it looks frumpy, it doesn't look nice, but it does have some really nice details on. I love the back, so I'm going to try this and see what happens. I'll be back. It's a bit booby, and it's got a button here that we'd need to put at the top. You see, part of me, it's a bit booby, but I feel like it'd be okay, to be honest. So I'm just looking in the mirror, which is there, and it is, but because the fabric, sorry, because the fabric is quite thick, it's not that, like, in person, I don't know what it looks like on camera, but in person it is not that bad. I think that's it. I'll be back. So first we're going to need to take off this button. I have seemed to have lost my thread picker, so we're going in with some trusty tweezers and fabric scissors. So I'm gonna take this off, just snip that, there we go. So with your trusty tweezers, just pull the thread away from the fabric and then pull the two pieces of fabric away from each other. Now that they have both been removed, you can see we do have some frayed edges, so I'm just going to take my scissors and trim that down. So this is the seam straight down here, and this is where it opens. So I'm just going to use some pins to follow that seam all the way down. I don't have any blue thread, so I'm going to be using black. And just carry on threading. Make sure you're not going through the holes. You need to actually go through the fabric. And you need to make sure you're turning the fabric inwards, because we need to create a seam for the inside of the dress that is nice and tidy. So that seam is all sewn up, but you can see that this part of the seam does stick out quite a bit because we needed to create a nice smooth seam on the inside. However, now we need to create the seam on the outside that you're going to see, so we need to tuck that bit in. I'm just going to fold that over, make sure that seam is tucked in, and then pin along that seam line. And then just stitch up that seam line, but make sure you're making your stitches very small because you're going to be able to see through this dress, so you don't want to see big horrible stitching. So that's the inside seam, just along that line, and you can see that's quite nice and neat and tidy, and that's the outside seam. However, I can see where I've stitched that together, it sticks out quite a lot, which is going to be quite uncomfortable. So I'm just going to cover that up with a bit of the lining we removed. And with these pins holding it down, I'm just going to sew that into the neckline. So with that done, I'm going to shape the dress now. I'm actually going to do it by using this crop top. This is a very sort of strong material, so it doesn't stretch, so it's perfect to get a good measurement. So I'm going to use a tape measure just to find out the measurement of this crop top and use that as a guide. So I'm going to take this in from the front. I've actually got the material from the inside of the dress and then pinched that in, and then pinching from the right side and then pinning that in, and then pulling from the left side and pinning that in. I'm now going to take a step backwards and unpin them all into 4 separate seams. As you can see here, the 2 on the right will go together and the 2 on the left will go together, and then they will come together to create one piece. So I'm going to do this with a hook and eye, and the reason for this is so we don't have to mess around with zips. You can pull the fabric together but still get it over your head. I'm going to start by taking this pin out and sewing this material together, and this is one of the pieces on the back. It's actually the right piece on the back, one of the right pieces, the furthest to the right, and then I'm just going to take a hook and sew that onto the fabric with the hook facing inwards. With that all sewn on, I'm now going to pull the 2 pieces of right fabric together to create a really nice seam. So I'm going to do the same on the left side and then sew them 2 pieces of material together and add the eye for the hook and just sew that on. So now your dress has got some shape and you've tucked it in. You've tucked it in. I'm going to put some material to give you a bit more coverage in the boob area. I had the dress on and I could see a teeny tiny little bit of nipple. I mean, if you want to get your nipples out and your boobs out, cool, it's your body, you do whatever you want. What I'm going to do is, as I said, is add a bit of material into the boob area. I am using, I've just cut up a top that was from Primark. It's just a strappy top in like a navy blue, so it'll blend into the dress. And I'm going to be using Wonderweb, which is the really lazy and easy method for sewing. So if you can't be arsed, that's what you want. So with the dress here, you can see you've got this blue bit here, and then this is where we need to pull it in a little bit. Using the strips of material that we've already cut off any excess that you don't require for at the time, and then pull that tight and it will curve inwards, which will create a nice seam. To secure those seams, I'm going to use Wonderweb. I'm just going to cut a piece and then cut it in half, and then place half of that down underneath the seam and then fold it over and secure that with the iron. So to add these pieces to the inside of the dress, I've already done this side. It looks a little messy, but don't worry, you're not going to see this part of it. And then I'm just going to move over to this side to show you what I've done. I'm just going to pop a pin in here, just hold it down, and then add a piece of Wonderweb underneath where we need to secure it. To ensure the Wonderweb doesn't move, I'm just putting a pin in either end of the Wonderweb, and that will keep it in place while you're ironing over the material. Any excess Wonderweb, just cut that off and then iron over where you need to. The great thing about Wonderweb is that you can just cut small little pieces and insert them into the seam so you can secure them properly, like here on the real edge of the dress, and then just secure that with the iron. When you finish with the Wonderweb, just check the dress. As you can see here, there's a little bit of Wonderweb that hasn't stuck down. So if you just pull the Wonderweb, it'll pull away from the Wonderweb that has stuck down. So to secure this panel so it stays in place when you're wearing it, I've actually stitched it down to these pieces of cord on this material, and I've stitched it in 4 places. The important thing here is when you're stitching it is to make sure you're going back through the hole where you brought your thread through, because you don't want to see any stitching on the front of the dress. Now we've finished with the front of the dress, I want to just focus on the back. All this material, when you fasten the clasp, just sticks out and it doesn't look very nice. So I want to tailor the back by tucking the back in. I want to stick this down with some Wonderweb, so I'm just going to go in with the iron. And now you can see, now I've done both sides, it looks really nice and really tailored, and it shapes the dress a lot better. Just to be on the safe side, just along these seams here, I'm going to sew along them, just because I don't want the dress to be so tight that the Wonderweb starts to pull away and you start to see that. So I'm just going to start from the bottom where the clasps are and work my way up. So this is the finished look. You've got the paneling in the front, and obviously you can see where it's been taken in and pulled together at the back, and that is complete. I hope you like this dress.